Hello, and welcome to the Knitting Traditions Podcast. My name is Inga, and this is my little corner on the internet where I talk about my knitting. This is a podcast, vlogcast, where I show what I have finished, what I'm working on, and my thoughts on whatever project I'm making. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you're new here, I hope you enjoy this content. I have been knitting quite a bit since the last time I released a podcast episode. I've been working a lot, and I got home from a shift. I work as a doctor, and I just got home. I had to shovel snow because there was like a snowstorm. I barely got up the road with my car, but we made it. I live sort of up on a mountain hill. It's quite steep down to the fjord where the hospital is at, so it's always interesting when it's been snowing a lot to get home. Today I have 2 finished knitting projects and 2 crochet projects. I am mainly a knitter. I don't really know how to crochet, but with some tutorials I'm able to figure some basic things out. So grab yourself something to drink. I am enjoying some much needed coffee, and we will get into all the things. So good. Alright, so what I'm wearing, my hair is soaking wet. I am wearing a finished object. This is the Fields of Gold by Isabella Clarke, and it is a beautiful structured top-down sweater knit with unspun yarn, and I will insert a little video of me wearing it. I did mainly 2 modifications, and I will talk about them. I knit this in double strand of the nutiden yarn, which is an unspun roving yarn. So I held 2 strands of this in the color vibeke together with a Knitting for Olive silk mohair in the color Dusty Rose. And as you can see, the mohair did fit this yarn very well, I would say. It didn't take away from the beautiful variations that this yarn has. And yes, I am sitting in my bedroom because it is snowing outside, and this is one of the few places where I can sit at a good angle by the window and we have some lighting, so bear with me. So I feel like the colors are showing up quite well here. You can see there's a lot of variations to it. And I have 2 cakes left after finishing this project, so this sweater is quite oversized. I knit the size 3, but I think my gauge might have been slightly looser than in the pattern, so it has quite a lot of positive ease. I have I broke into the 4th cake and maybe used half of it, so I have enough to lengthen the sleeves if I decide that the 3/4 length sleeve isn't for me. I don't really have a lot of sweaters with 3/4 length sleeves. I like long sleeves usually, and this is a very warm sweater, but after I had done the body, which I made longer by knitting this part instead of, let's say, I didn't double it, I made it like 1/3 longer, this section. So that was a modification I did to lengthen the body. And I did the scalloped edging on the bottom instead of just a straight regular rib, which is in the pattern. The scalloped edging is, I used the tulip sweater from B. Mandarins to apply that to this because I was in between whether I would knit this design or the tulip in this yarn, but I really wanted to knit this beautiful pattern, but then I decided to add the scalloped hem, and I thought it was really cute. And since everything was just so cute, the pattern, the edging, the color, I figured the 3/4 length sleeves would be cute as well. In the pattern there is an option for doing some German short rows on the sleeves. I didn't, I just did them straight and then the ribbing. I thought it worked, but I am keeping that little bit of yarn so that I can lengthen the sleeves if I see that I need the bit of warmth here, which I usually do because I live in a cold place. It's like -11 Celsius today and a lot of snow. We got like this much snow and I was shoveling snow and it's already snowed more, so I just hope I can get to work tomorrow morning. Oh well. So that is that. I spent about a month knitting this. Like a month and 4 days I think I spent to make this sweater. It was a lot of fun making it. The hardest part was the beginning with the shaping and new techniques and then new textured techniques, and there was a lot of new stuff for me, which is nice. It's challenging, but it's nice and you feel really proud when you figure things out. So I was really happy with this, and now that I have made it once, I think the second time would be a lot easier if I were to make it again, maybe in like a green color. This isn't my go-to color. I don't know how I suit it, but I thought it was really cute, and yeah, I like it, and it's very nice and warm, and to me this is soft. It's not merino soft, but it's the unspun has a different kind of softness to it. It kind of fills itself out in a very unique way, and it softens a lot with washing. So I really like it. That's what I can say. I lie. I have one more finished object. I finished my water bottle cover, and I've been using this every day since I made it for probably 3 weeks now, and it's held up really well. This is a water bottle cover. I drew inspiration from the free pattern, the cozy bottle by, is it Hinke? I need to check my notes because I'm trying to be a better podcaster this year and actually write down what I am making. Yeah, Cozy Bottle by Hinke. But I only used 3 colors, and I didn't follow the pattern for the cast on and cast off. I did Judy's Magic cast on and then increased every round. The way you would do with toe-up socks, where you, like on each side, you increase 2 stitches on each side. So I did that until it fit this water bottle. I don't know how big this is, but I just did it until it fit. I made sure it fit the colorwork chart, which was 10 stitches. So I have 100 stitches for this size water bottle. And then I followed the chart, but I switched the colors around a bit because I had 3 colors and not 4 colors. And I think it worked out well. And then I decreased on every round here until it fit the neckline, and I just knit a long ribbing for the neck, and I used some Carmen tweed that is discontinued yarn that was by a local yarn store in Kristiansand years ago, but it's a fingering weight tweed yarn if you like the effect in like a beigey sandy color. And then I used Retrosaria Pegulhal in the color 06 and 04, and I used a 3mm needle.
I found something similar. Do you want to know how to calculate the color code of 6-band resistance?
Google! Shh! Quiet. It's scary how it's listening to me. I might need to do something about that. But yeah, 3mm needles, 100 stitches. Follow the chart from that free pattern. It's beautiful. And this might look complicated, but it really isn't. The color chart is either 1 by 1 or 3 by 3 or 3 by 1 1 1. It's easy to memorize each row, and it kind of makes sense. Once you've done one, you kind of can see how it's gonna move going upward because it's repetitive. So yeah, I made this one and I had a lot of yarn left over. This was one of us like a scrappy project or a project for like singular skeins or balls of yarn that I didn't know what I was going to make with it. It's a rustic woolly wool, but it did soften up quite a lot with washing, and I will put this in bed at night to warm my feet and then move it up and just hug it as I'm sleeping for a bit of warmth, and it is really quite comforting and soothing. I highly recommend hot water bottles with covers that make you happy. This one has a very vintagey look to me, and it almost looks like something that I haven't made. I don't know, maybe it's the little pink to it. I don't know. I'm really happy with it though. I think it's beautiful and it just makes me really happy, and it looks a lot fancier than it really is. So really happy with this one. The third and last finished knitting object since last time is I finished my socks. So I finally put the heels in to these ones because I don't know, I kind of wanted to use the leftover yarns perhaps for another pair or so, so I just wanted to make sure I had gotten the heels into these before I used up the yarn for something else. So these socks are knit with a fingering weight yarn held with a silk mohair, which adds strength for durability and softness. So it has a really nice fluff to it, and I cast on the cuffs, and then I always have more stitches in my cuffs than the tube or the leg of the sock because I don't like it cinching in. I like it to be like a nice and stretchy cuff. I prefer starting with the cuff so I can do the old Norwegian cast on or the German twisted cast on, which looks very neat but is very stretchy, so that's what I prefer. So usually perhaps I'll do 64 stitches for the cuff and then go down to 60 or for the leg, and if it still looks a bit wide I'll go down to 58 or 56. I just kind of figure it out as I'm going down the leg, and then I knit for 30 centimeters, and then I do a toe, a wedge toe with a Kitchener stitch on the front, which looks kind of invisible. And then I figure out where I want to do the heel, and I nick a stitch after putting some needles for magic loop. One row and one row above and below that one stitch that I nick, and then I unravel it halfway, just leaving a few stitches that I don't unravel so I don't get a hole when I knit. And then I do basically the same as the toe for the heel, but I might knit a few rows before starting the decreases to make the heel a bit bigger. So for these one, the heels are quite small because these are also made for a size 37, 38 European size, which is my size or my mother's. I haven't tried them on to see if they fit me or if they will be a gift for my mom. We'll see. When I cut into it, they became a little bit smaller than I intended, but the brown yarn is a superwash yarn, and often superwash yarn grow a bit on me when I wash them, so I think after washing them they fit these, which are European 38, which is my size, so I think they're actually perfect for me. So yes, finished them. The yarns that I used were some drops kid silk in white and some Dale Tynn Kid Silk Ella, which is a kid mohair silk and wool blend, and those were paired with these fingering weight yarns. So this is a grenouille in the color Owl, I think, and this is some Wool Barn BFL superwash, 100% superwash blue faced Leicester in the color Toffee. So yeah, paired them together. I thought it looked really nice. This yarn is super soft. I think this is 100% merino, but I'm not sure. I don't have the tag here, but it's very soft, and I'm thinking I really like this one. I might do another pair just with the reverse colors, so the blue faced luster for the more hard wearing parts and the super soft one for the main part. We'll see. I use these kind of needles, so I have the 30 centimeters or like 11 to 12 inch circulars that I do all of the knitting except for the toe and heel, which I'll change to some magic loop needles. These are Chaogu, I think. I don't have a preference really for that part. Yeah, so that is one finished object. Really, really happy with it. I love the combination of this kind of brown with white. I really like pairing those colors together. So yes, so maybe I can show you the crochet objects that I have made. So the first thing I made is actually a big basket, which is now a project basket. I found a blog post. I just googled, or I went on Ravelry and looked for free crochet patterns and found one that had a blog post. You could also buy a PDF without ads and stuff, but I just used the blog post to see if this was something I could figure out. I had a bit of issues with getting the base to be flat and nice. When I followed the pattern, there was just way too much fabric, so it was like bulging up on itself. So I ripped back and just tried doing fewer increases, and that worked out okay. The stitch looks like knit stitches, but it's crochet, and those were quite harsh on my hands. I had to use a lot of force. I was knitting with, or crocheting with, 2 strands of Sannes garn, fritidsgarn. It's not this yarn. This yarn is rauma vams, but it is similar. It's a thicker, woolly yarn, non-superwash, quite affordable. I think the fritidsgarn is 45 Norwegian kroners for 1 ball, which is like $5 maybe. And I held it double, and I used the crochet hook number 8. Now, I did not like that crochet hook at all. This was from Sannes garn. It just wasn't nice to hold, and the tip wasn't pointy enough, so I really struggled getting it through where I needed it to go through. So for this one, I used 6 balls of yarn to make this big one. And after doing this one, I was going back and looking at The Republic of Me, Ivana. She has a beautiful podcast, highly recommend. I hadn't seen her very early videos, so I was going back and looking at them, and the day after making this came across a video where she shows a tutorial from beginning to end of how she crochets these baskets for her plants and stuff, and she uses the same stitch as in this one. So I followed her video and I made a smaller one, and this one I used a 6mm crochet hook, which was more pointy and was a lot better to work with. I still held the same yarn double. I used 2 balls to make this. I just wanted to see how much I could get out of it. I don't know what I'm going to use this one for yet. For now, I have just been storing my crochet hooks in it. But yes, I think if I were to make it again, with this width, I would make it shorter, but I don't know. This was such a quick little thing that I did in bed in the morning, and it just flew off the crochet hook. It's a lot faster than knitting, I find. So yeah, made this one. And then I had 4 balls of this color in the rauma. I was gonna make slippers for my boyfriend, but his size might need 5, so I went and bought 5 new balls for his slippers that I'm gonna make, and then decided to use these for a crochet basket. So I was at the hairdresser and I made this while I was there for like half of the appointment. And I am loving how this brown color is looking. So I just followed the way that Ivana did hers. It's pretty similar to this tutorial, just that this one has some handles for it. And again, I don't know what I'm gonna use this for. So far I have used 2 skeins, but I have 2 more. So I might make this one taller as a project basket. If I were to end it now, it would be like a nice decorative piece. Maybe put some yarn balls in there or something. We'll see. But yeah, I found that the way that Ivana did the increases on the bottom worked better for the yarn and hook size that I was using. I don't know how to change stuff in crochet because I'm not a crocheter. I just do as I'm told, and if I were to do it more, then probably the intuition that I now have with knitting would improve also with crochet. But for now, I'm happy just copying other people and making cute little things to complement my knitting. So yeah, I think it's nice. It's a nice little yarn bowl or project bag, basket. Yeah. And the new color that I got was this one from rauma. It's also a brown, but this one is more cool toned than this, and more heathered. This is the color 064, well, this was the 413. And I have started making a pair of slippers for Matthias. And this is a Norwegian pattern. It's free. I did an English oral translation of the pattern back in the very end of episode 21 or 22. I will go and check and I'll put which episode it is here if you're interested. They're just some really nice house slippers that are felted. So working on those, and I got a little bit hooked on the crochet wagon as I was making this. And the reason I wanted to make this was I was going through my stash and I found this crochet project in the back of my cabinet that I was working on a couple of years ago with some Advent minis from Grenouile, and I had put aside all the bluish, brownish, greenish tones to make a granny stripe blanket, and I just felt inspired to get back to it and maybe use up some scraps. So this is probably wide enough to fit like a single bed or a child-sized bed. My crochet beginning is a bit tight, but for like a first granny stripe crochet blanket, it's fine. I don't mind it. I can try and block it out a bit when it's finished. So since I was working on this last, I have finished the end of the green stripe. I've done this tonal speckly or variegated speckly lighter color, and I have started now a brown, which is a scrap from my stash. So this is some, I think, superwasf merino nylon blend. I might have a tag in here. This is Yarn Stories, the Monkey Mind colorway. It's 100% superwash merino. Yeah. And it's a really, really beautiful color. All of the the minis from the grenouile, I think was superwash merino nylon, if I'm not mistaken. And I figure this will be a nice gift for someone. It's something they can throw in the machine and they don't have to worry about it. Now, I have done magic knots to kind of attach the new colors, so I do hope they don't unravel. Time will tell. But, I mean, I'm not worried. This is like a very slow project that doesn't really have like a set receiver or a deadline or anything, and yeah, I'm not too worried about it. And it's a nice way of using up some superwash minis and leftovers that I don't otherwise know what I would do with. I could always put it into socks, of course, but yeah, I find I do love the non-superwash feeling of knitting, and with the crochet, it's a nice way of using up those superwash yarns that I don't know how I would otherwise use up. I've added some other leftovers in here. This is some Malabrigo, I think, that I had in my... I just went through my sock stash. I made a video, and after getting back to this, I have taken a few of them out that I think would look nice in this project. So I am keeping this crochet whip in my new crochet project bag. And yeah, a nice little like palette cleanser-y sort of thing that I'm keeping next to my bed for those very rare slow mornings. Getting cold. Okay. Let's see. I have more whips. So I showed you the water bottle, and I had quite a bit left of the Rosa Pomar yarns. So I decided to make another because I had 2 balls of this Carmen tweed. I used almost all of the first ball for the first one, and I'm using the second ball now, and basically made exactly the same, just that I reversed the colors so that instead of using a lot of green, it's using a lot of the dusty old pink. Now I feel like the color work pops more with the dark green than it does with the pink, but it's still visible that it's a color work pattern. And I was going through my stash, and I think I actually have a third color in more of a browny tone. So if maybe I'll use some of my coned yarn, maybe some Holst or woolly knit as a light base, and then I'll use that color as well. And at the rate that this is being used, I can probably do 3 more water bottle covers. But yeah, so 3mm needles again, 100 stitches. I have finished the color work now to match a similar sized water bottle. So now I'm gonna change to some magic loop needles and do decreases and the bottleneck. And this is a lot rougher on the hands than this one, so it really does soften up quite a bit with washing, which was nice. Because I was a bit worried when I was knitting with this the first time around that maybe it was too rough to kind of have next to skin, but it did soften up quite a bit. It's still rustic, but it's softer. Soft enough for me. So that is one. And then I am working on a gift for my brother, the Checkmate sweater. And it's from Knitwits and Yarns. And since the last time, I have finished the back panel. This is intarsia knitting. It's knit back and forth. So it's knit in pieces. I have not looked at the sleeves yet, but if I can knit it in the round, I probably will. This is knit back and forth. I have finished the back piece. I am knitting the medium size. I'm using Viking garn, Eco Highland wool, instead of the Brooklyn tweed. It's just more economical and easier for me to get my hands on. But it works really well. I've gotten gauge, and I am using these 4 colors, which are the color 212, 200, 208, and 218. They are pretty similar to the original colors in the pattern, which I like and my brother liked. So the back piece is done, and I have started the front piece, and I'm in the middle of a row, which is fine. This is a slow going project. It's very mindless because you're just knitting back and forth, and intarsia really isn't hard at all. It's just about wrapping the yarn around the yarn you're changing to when you get to the point in a certain way. And it works. It's really not that bad at all. I'm just trying to finish this row. Of course, I'm on the purl side, so it's a little bit slower. Not much though, I don't mind it. I am knitting on, is it 4.5? No, I'm knitting on 5mm needles to get gauge. And so far, I think I'm gonna be fine with the amount of yarn that I have. I think in the medium size, I needed 4 balls of one color and then 3 of the other 3, but I do have 4 balls of each color, just, you know, to be sure, and it's gonna be fine. And whatever leftovers I have, I think could be good yarns for socks or hats or just other accessories. It's 100% Highland wool. It's non-superwash. I think it's 4 ply or more. It feels quite sturdy though, so it's 110 meters to 50 grams. So it's a thicker yarn compared to what I'm used to knitting with. And yeah, I highly recommend, if you see some intarsia patterns that you would really like to make, don't be scared. I was a bit scared of this. This is my first intarsia project, but it really was not as bad as I worried that it was going to be. I thought it was something really fancy and hard to do, but it wasn't. I have 3 more whips to show you. I just have 2 more stitches to go, and then I can put this away nicely. Ta-da! So yeah, the front, I'm almost done with the 2 first squares on the bottom, so it's not the same on the back and front. And then I would need to look at the pattern and see how the upper part of the sweater is going to be in the front. And then I think once I've finished the front and back panel, if I can do the sleeves in the round, it's just gonna fly off the needles. I am working on what is going to be my Easter sweater, hopefully this year. This is a sweater that I've cast on as a part of my Dream Knit Cal. I've started a Cal that's going to run for all of 2023, and it's a Cal where you knit something that you've been dreaming about casting on and knitting on or making. I have a lot of dream knits, and this is like the OG dream knit for me. This is the Winter Olympic sweater from 1994 Lillehammer in Norway, which is the year where I was born, and I've always wanted this. Even before I was knitting, I have wanted this sweater, and I finally got around to casting it on, and I have finished the sleeves. Now, this is a sweater that looks really complicated, but it isn't. I mean, it is color work, but there isn't really, there's like a few sections here where there might be a bit longer floats like you need to catch, but otherwise it just flies off the needles. I did a sleeve in 2 days. It's addicting. You just want to get to the next row, and I'm using Cascade 220. They had the perfect specs for this pattern, and the colors were really nice and matched the original colors. This sweater comes in 2 or 3 versions. I like the second version, which has the red, yellow, and green. It's not colors that I would typically choose for a pattern, but I just really like the original, and I wanted to make something similar to the original. And I'm knitting the medium size, which will give me a little bit of positive ease, but not too much. I want to wear this skiing. So I have finished the sleeves, and I have started the body, and I am getting gauged with 4mm needles for the color work, and then there's 3mm for the ribbing. And I have just finished the lower part of the body that has the colors, and then now I'm knitting on the part of the body that is just in black and white. So far, the sleeves and this much of the body, I've used up 2 skeins of the charcoal color from Cascade 220 and 1 skein of the white. So I do need to wind up another charcoal one. I have wound up the white, so that is what I need to do. And these are the 3 contrast colors that I'm using. So for this sweater, I need 1 skein of each of the contrast colors, and I think 5 of the charcoal and maybe 4 of this. But yeah, I feel like I've gotten a lot of sweater so far out of that little amount of yarn that I've used, and it's so squishy and thick, and it's going to be so warm and nice. I'm really enjoying knitting with the Cascade 220. It's the Cascade 220 non-superwash. Very easy to come by in the States, not something that's carried here. So an Instagram friend of mine brought it here, that I bought it and she brought it. And I'm really happy that I get to try it out. I think it's beautiful for this pattern. House of Yarn carries the PDFs for the Olympic sweaters. They are in Norwegian, they are free, they are all charted, so if you feel brave, go for it. There used to be an English pamphlet or book, but they are no longer in production, unfortunately. Maybe you'll be able to find it on Etsy or eBay, but there are free PDFs of the Norwegian versions online. So that is what I'm using, and I need to put this aside because if I start knitting on this, it's so hard to put it down and knit on something else because it's like chocolate chippy. You just want to do the next row, and I feel like it's going quite quickly on the 4mm needles with like the thicker yarn. I feel like it's growing quite fast. So the sleeves have been blocked, and now I'm on the body. This will involve steeking though, so I am not looking forward to that. That is always scary to me. I have started a new project, which is a sock. And this yarn I showed in my sock stash video. This is some yarn that I got at Isager. It's the Isager sock yarn, which is 40% easy wash alpaca, 40% easy wash merino wool, and 20% recycled nylon. This is the first time that I am knitting with something that is described as easy wash. From what I understand, it's as if it's slightly superwash treated, but not fully, so it is more gently treated, and for me it feels nicer to knit with. The white is softer than the colored one. I don't know why that is, but I have noticed a difference to the touch. This feels rougher or stiffer than the white. So for this one, again, I did a long cuff because, or again, I'm doing a tube where I'm going to cut in the heel at the end. But for this one, I'm doing a long cuff because I was thinking that it would be cute with a folded down cuff. Now this is just an end that I haven't woven in. I'm just holding it instead of a stitch marker to mark the center, which I'll probably do the heel with this in the center at some point. We'll see. For now, I am just knitting on the tube of the sock, and I'll either fold this down or I might fold it inwards and then sew it so that it's like a double brim cuff that will not unfold, that will just stay that way. I haven't decided. We'll figure it out as it go. I'll just knit them first and then can decide later. So this is just a little sock project in between all the other things. My final whip that I've been working on since last time is my Tal Venen by Caitlin Hunter, or Boylan Knitworks. Now, I think I was done with the yoke last time and I had separated for the sleeves. So I've just been knitting on the body since the last time I showed this, and I've gotten about this much done. I need to look at the pattern and on the project pages on Ravelry to see how much I want to knit on the body before starting the color work, because I don't want this to be as long as in the pattern. I want it to be shorter, and I haven't decided if I want to do all of the color work on the bottom of the body or just parts of it, because I did see a project on Ravelry of someone who had just done some of the color work on the body, and I really liked how it looked, so I might just shamelessly copy them. But yes, this is my Talvinen, and this yarn was gifted. This is the Biche et Bouche Les Petites Lambs wool, and it's a dream to knit with. Honestly, I love this yarn, and I'm kind of knitting on it slowly because I'm enjoying it so much and I don't want it to be done. It's quite a thin yarn. It's 100% lamb's wool. It's 248 meters to 50 grams, so it's a light fingering. This is woolen spun, and it's a lot more worsted spun yarn out there than woolen spun, but I really love a woolen spun. It's so lightweight and airy and warm. I just really love the feeling of it. And I am knitting on, I think 3.25 millimeter needles is what I am knitting on for the stockinette. I went up to 3.5 for the color work, and it's just so pretty. Ugh, I love this. I kind of want to have this done before going to Paris. I would like to wear it, but I don't think I'll be able to. So, but this is a sweater that I would probably wear all year around because it's warm, but also it's a thinner sweater, so for me this would be an all year round piece, and it's just really pretty. And I'm excited to see how the yoke fits. I hope it's a good fit. I went for more of an oversized fit than recommended in the pattern. I think I went for the size 5. Yes, I'm making the size 5. And the colors I'm using is dark green gray, soft orange brown, and beige. Yeah, and it's just lovely. I think it's lovely. I really like these colors. I shamelessly copied the colors from the Pomegranate Girl, Annie. And I think that was all of my whips. That's enough, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 whips. I don't know. I don't get stressed out. I want to have one whip for any kind of mood and situation so that I always have the opportunity to make on something if I want to. I get more stressed out if I don't feel like I have something that I can knit on. Like if I want to watch TV but I don't have a simple TV knit, that kind of stresses me out a little bit because I really like making stuff when watching TV. I feel like I'm not that I'm wasting my time, but I just enjoy making something when watching TV. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I definitely enjoy having my knitting with me if I have time to sit down on the couch and watch TV. So I have like a little bit of everything, something structured, some color work. I do love color work in the winter. I find it a lot of fun. Some socks on the go, some slippers that he says he wants. Now just dabbling a little bit with crochet, just like some in-between project and palette cleansers. There's just something for everything. And yeah, lots of dream knits. So if there's anything that you have been wanting to cast on, take the chance, join the Dream Knit Cal and use the hashtag DreamKnitCal on Instagram so I can see it. And it's running all year. And it's just a little nudge to do it. Do it for yourself. Enjoy yourself. Make the things that you want to make. And yeah, I think that's all for today. I'm gonna go knit on probably my Olympic sweater. That's what I feel like knitting on today. And just enjoy looking at the snow outside and maybe watch a movie or something. Recuperate before work tomorrow. And I will put some footage at the end. I went snowshoeing with my cousin and it was just beautiful when we got up. Walking up there was exhausting. I really felt out of shape and questioned why I had agreed to going on that trip. But as soon as we got up and saw the sun and the view, it was so worth it. So I'm gonna share some footage with you at the end. I don't know when the next podcast episode will be. I'm going on a trip with my cousin to Paris, which is going to be so excited. Girls trip. And then I have another trip planned as a surprise for my boyfriend for his birthday. So a lot of exciting things happening soon, and I need to plan some travel knitting. Maybe I'll cast on another half and half wrap. Maybe I'll bring all the sock knitting. Who knows? Definitely something on smaller needle though that will keep me busy while traveling. Yes. All right. On that note, I hope that you are making whatever is making you happy, and I will see you soon. Bye.